So if you were to bring the black share of wealth at least to the black share of the population, it would require an additional at least $10 trillion.
But if we were paid those unskilled wages at a 6% interest rate, we would have $6.2 quadrillion that we would be owed today.
Reparations is the key. The story have black folks come and talk about what kind of hell they live and have people have to listen. Reparations will set us free.
Sacramento shooting victim ID'd. Sacramento crime. The Sacramento County Coroner's Office identified the 6 victims of Sunday's mass shooting in downtown Sacramento. Those who died are Jontaya Alexander, 21, Melinda Davis, 57, Sergio Harris, 38, Joshua Hoy Lucchesi, 32, Yamil Martinez Andrade, 21, Devazia Turner, 29. 12 others were also wounded. Ashe. It does look like Sacramento got a suspect in custody regarding this mass shooting that happened this past Sunday. And it looks like also breaking news this morning, Sacramento shooting updates. Police arrest a second subject. Smiley Martin is the brother of Dondre Martin, the first suspect that was arrested in connection to the shooting. Ashe. What a senseless crime.
Ashe. Former South African student sentenced to 5 years for spending money erroneously credited to bank account. A woman in South Africa has been sentenced to 5 years in jail after a bank mistakenly credited her account with approximately $1 million in US dollars. According to Face to Face Africa, South African student Simbongali Mani was sentenced to spend 5 years in prison after she spent money from about $1 million that was credited to her bank account when she was supposed to be credited $100 in monthly food allowance almost 5 years ago. On June 1st, 2017, Mani, at the time, was a student at South Africa's Walter Sisulu University, WSU. She erroneously received a payment of about $1 million for her monthly food allowance. Typically, students receive a monthly allocation of $100. In apparent error, Mani was credited with a payment of $1 million. It was revealed that she was overpaid from the account of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS. The NSFAS gives out loans to students who are expected to repay them after they graduate. The mistake wasn't found until August 2017.
So when did the mistake originally occur, did they say? On
Let's
June.
see. The mistake wasn't found until August 2017. So on June 1st,
June.
2017.
Okay, so
Is that right?
Yeah, June 1st, 2017. So it took them a few months to discover their error. I mean, maybe she thought she was just getting a boost in her benefit.
Hey, she was like, woo, okay. I mean, hey, if they doing this for the people, let's roll.
Right. Okay, Amazon labor organizer popped champagne and thanked Jeff Bezos for going to space. When he was up there, we was signing people up. Amazon labor organizer Christian Smalls would like to thank Jeff Bezos for going into space. The former Amazon employee spearheaded the first successful effort to unionize an Amazon warehouse, which was solidified after the National Labor Relations Board concluded counting votes Friday. Outside NLRB offices in Brooklyn, Smalls popped champagne, a bottle of champagne, and said, "To the first Amazon union in history. The warehouse is in Staten Island, New York, and is known as JFK8. Quote, we want to thank Jeff Bezos for going to space because when he was up there, we was signing people up, Smalls said. We are out here getting signatures, end quote. Smalls was referencing to Bezos' flight with his Blue Origin space company in July. So talk about David beating Goliath. I saw in another article that, Amazon spent over $4 million to try to fight this unionization effort. So that's quite the accomplishment. Let's take a look at the celebration.
To the first union in American history.
Man, I ain't gonna cry right now, but damn, 2 years ago, my life changed forever. I only wanted to do the right thing and speak up for the workers behind me. We got the juggler. We went for the juggler. And we went for the top dog because we want every other industry, every other business to know that things have changed. We gonna unionize. We're not gonna quit our jobs anymore. And this is a prime example of what the power that people have when they come together.
Oh, popping bottles, good for them. Reggae band Soja's win at the Grammys sparks online criticism. We need musical justice. American reggae band Soja took home the Grammy for Best Reggae Album at the 64th Annual Grammy Awards on Sunday, and the internet is not happy about it. The Virginia-based band won the award for their album Beauty in the Silence, which was released in July 2021 and peaked at number 2 on Billboard's Reggae Albums chart. The group beat out contemporary Sean Paul, Spice, Jesse Royale, Etana, and Gramps Morgan. Starting a reggae band was kind of our dream and the only thing we wanted to do. And then one day people started coming to the shows and we're not really sure what happened. Lead singer Jacob Hemphill said in the band's acceptance speech after thanking their early musical influences. To the founding fathers of reggae music and to the island of Jamaica, you inspired us all. Another member of the band said on stage, give thanks, one love. Racial and cultural issues aside, some argued that Soja didn't possess the musical prowess to earn the award. There was a tweet written by Gerald Lindo. It says, I'd encourage everyone to listen to the Soja album before rushing to negative judgment. I queued it up on Tidal just now, and I can honestly say I didn't make it past track 2 because it was hot garbage. But now at least I know I'm right.
So I guess it doesn't feel good to have your culture co-opted and someone else run off with all the accolades.
Yeah, what is that song? By what is his name? I can't remember the dude's name, but remember that song, How Does It Feel?
I know what song you're talking about.
Oh yeah, D'Angelo. Yeah.
Yes, D'Angelo. How does it feel? Not too good. All right. Jamaica fights for slavery reparations. The demands are growing in Jamaica to get Britain to pay up and offer reparations for slavery. Anti-monarchy sentiments, protests, and calls for reparations made for an uncomfortable visit for Prince William and Kate through the Caribbean last week. Jamaica's Prime Minister said the Commonwealth realm is looking to move on from the monarchy and become an independent republic. One of the most urgent demands, reparations for slavery, has been decades in the making, but is now gaining momentum as more Jamaicans say the intergenerational trauma of slavery has shaped the nation in a way that must be rectified. We take a closer look at Jamaica's push for reparations, the long legacy of resistance against colonialism in the country, and the royal family's connection to the slave trade.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here for it. So, there's the growing narrative around reparations. I like to think that the work, that the grassroots are doing out here in California, might have something to do with that.
Yeah, and shout out to CARICOM. I think what they've been doing over the years is greatly impacting Jamaica in the reparations fight, which is good. I think that's a great thing. And we as Black Americans who are descendants of U.S. chattel enslavement here in the United States support that. And we as those who descend from chattel enslavement feel, I can't speak for all of us, but I think for the most part the right thing to do would not say, hey, we should get some of them reparations too, when the oppressor or the victims aren't based on what happened here in America, but what happened in Jamaica, right? So shout out to them for fighting for their reparations.
Shout out, and I'll second that motion.
So, why more Black women should consider marrying white men? This is a New York Times op-ed piece. Two of the most powerful positions in the United States government will soon be held for the first time by Black women, Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Harris, as we all know, is the Vice President of the United States, and Brown Jackson could soon become a Supreme Court Justice. But Harris and Brown Jackson also share a personal attribute that is equally noteworthy. Each has a white husband. This fact is significant. The effects of racism have left well-educated Black women with a paucity of Black male partners. According to Brookings Institute data, Black men are less likely than Black women to have completed high school and 50% less likely to have attended a 4-year college degree. Yet, despite the shortage of suitable Black partners, Black women have also been the least likely of any minority group to marry outside of their race, according to data from the Pew Research Center. Rather than partner with men of other races, many heterosexual Black women either don't marry or marry Black men with whom they are not especially well matched. And these mismatched relationships contribute to African Americans having the highest divorce rate of any racial group. In fact, Black women are the only demographic to have a higher divorce rate than marriage rate. Very interesting.
So we're just going to pretend that systemic racism doesn't have anything to do with the subjugation of Black men.
True. Interesting question and or comment. And then also just the mere fact that this article was mentioning that education has something to do with Black men and Black women divorcing. Like what? Why are you trying to make that comparison? Once again trying to get on this status comparison. And
Right.
It's kind of like this whole reparations thing, right? It doesn't matter how much education you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter, if you're destitute on the street or if, you're a billionaire, you got a PhD, or you barely have a GED, or maybe you have your high school diploma, or you don't. The bottom line is who's been affected, right, by the systemic issues. So this is just unfortunately another invalid talking point that is in stereotype that's being spewed out, in the public. And then you have some social media where black men go against black women, and then they go at each other, and then it's like, gosh, here we go again. Kind of that, what was that? I think they called it the Willie Lynch syndrome. Yeah, that's it, the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Okay, yeah, well, this article is unfounded, and I've heard some think tanks say that this is just another attempt for the dominant society to divide and conquer. Now that black people, men and women, are getting on code around and unifying, especially around this reparations narrative that's out there. So they just want to divide and conquer because we're getting too unified. California city to give transgender and non-binary residents up to $900 a month. This was written March 31st, 2022. The California city is hoping to launch a pilot program that will guarantee a monthly income of up to $900 to transgender and non-binary residents. The City Council of Palm Springs, California, unanimously passed a bill on March 24th to provide $200,000 to DAP Health and Queer Works to design a program to apply for state funding. California currently allocates $35 million in funding for guaranteed income pilot programs and expected to finalize its criteria for applications over the coming months, according to DAP Health. About half of the funding for this final program will likely come from the state, and the other half will come from donors.
Wow, so they're proposing $900 to transgender and non-binary residents. Very interesting.
Interesting. And also what's interesting is that it looks like California already currently allocates $35 million in funding for guaranteed income pilot programs here in the city of Sacramento, where we are. They've also just approved a UBI program for artists that artists can apply for. So, there's this UBI funding floating around out here. But yeah, I haven't heard of one application, of where to sign up for one application. So I don't know if this information is, trickling down to everybody. And I certainly didn't know that California was allocating $35 million in UBI. So that's something to look out for.
Yeah. They ain't got no money, but they always find it. All right. White House releases plan to combat racial discrimination in housing appraisals. The Biden administration on Wednesday announced a plan to combat racial and ethnic bias in home evaluations. The Interagency Task Force on Property Appraisal and Valuation Equity, which President Joe Biden established in June 2021, released an action plan the White House said seeks to make the appraisal community more accountable while providing more information to consumers. The Biden-Harris administration understands homeownership provides people of color a pathway to build a source of wealth they can pass down to their children and grandchildren. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge said during a panel on racially biased home appraisals at the White House on Wednesday, that is why we are working with intentionality to break down the barriers that have prevented generations of people of color from buying or refinancing their home. Vice President Kamala Harris asserted that there is a real consequence to lower home evaluations for people of color.
There is a real consequence. Let's look at what some of those consequences are.
Another location where they're taking abs. Is there any more locations than this one?
No, it might have been. There's so many people out here.
1 minute. I want everybody to go home. And I want
we don't got no home. Okay. That's why we here. Miss McKinney,
Yeah.
Miss Waters, where home we gonna go to?
Yeah.
just a moment.
Just a moment.
Nothing is going to happen here today. Nothing is going to happen anymore today.
What about all these names?
What we're gonna that's what give
Well, can you see our mind?
me. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And so I will be downtown with Lassa. I will get the housing authority. That's why they came out here today. I made them come out here. And I'm going to go.
And you need to know why they're failing, because Blanca Jimenez repeated, we gave her several meeting requests for you concerning this in Lassa for years. And now they're sitting
There's
here.
nobody in Washington who works for their people in harder than I do.
I believe you.
I don't want to hear that.
I believe you. So can we finish though? Work with me.
No.
Work with me so we can house people. That's what I'm doing.
I do every day.
You do every day. I'm still on a damn
the
street.
money that you got
She's sitting here, she doesn't pass it out.
in Washington, D.C. I will continue to work. I will get
Another location where they're taking F's. Is there any more locations than this one?
It might have been. There's so many people out here.
1 minute. I want everybody to go home. And I want
We don't got no home. Okay. That's why we here. Miss Matt, can you talk?
Yeah.
Miss Waters, what home we gonna go to?
Yeah.
just a moment.
I ain't got no home.
Yeah, that statement didn't actually land well, did it?
I ain't got no home. That's
Lasha, I wonder if that's the housing agency in LA, kind of like SHRA out here in Sacramento, that they were talking about that being a failed group or agency. The one in Sacramento I can attest to is just as bad.
Yeah, I think they should definitely go on the subpoena list.
Yeah, definitely on the subpoena list. I mean,
For the
why
task
is it
force
so
to
hard
clarify.
getting the funding? They got millions of dollars in funding. Why is it so hard getting it to the people? I mean, this is just, they're not taking this stuff seriously. All right, so let's see what else is going on in housing news. Black households are missing out on creating wealth through home ownership. This article was written March 26, 2022. Black Americans are still excluded from growing wealth through home ownership. Middle-class households amassed $2 trillion by owning their own homes in the last 10 years, FINRA reports. According to the 2021 National Association of Realtors report, only 6% of the total home buyers were Black, FINRA reports. Black Americans seeking a piece of the American dream have more student debt than their white counterparts. Black student loan debt is 43% versus 21%. The median student loan debt for Black households level as $40,000 in comparison to $30,000 for white families, according to NAR. Black households saddled with mounting student loan debt serves a tremendous setback in saving for a down payment for a property. In addition, Black applicants are turned away for mortgage loans at a rate 2.5 times greater than white applicants, around 10% versus 4%, NAR reports. The Black American home ownership rate stands at 42%, is nearly 30% less than that rate for white Americans at 69.8%, according to NAR.
Wow, and just to clarify on the previous article, when I meant subpoena, I'm specifically talking about the California task force having the power of subpoena.
Yes.
So just to clarify, so
For the audience, I knew what you was talking about, because we got a whole list of people that need to be subpoenaed by the California Reparations Task Force. But what do you think about this story on Black home ownership? Nothing new? Does anything surprise you?
Yeah, no, nothing new underneath the sun. This just is another indication why reparations needs to be distributed to those who've been harmed in this country.
Facts.
Fighting rising gas prices, California Governor Gavin Newsom proposes $400 for households with one car and $800 with two cars. Other states suspend their gas tax. Though gas prices have backed off their record-breaking high in recent days. It hasn't been by much. The more that high prices at the pump stick around, the more that state and federal lawmakers are trying to find ways to ease drivers' financial pain. They floated two types of ideas so far. Pauses on the taxes assessed on gas and rebates that would send money directly to motorists in order to defray their gas costs. On Wednesday, California Governor Gavin Newsom unveiled a plan that would send $400 debit cards to every household with a car registered in the state, where average gas prices are the highest in the nation. The plan would distribute a maximum of 2 debit cards, meaning $800 per household. The proposal would also foot the bill on bus or train fare for 3 months to help people without a car. Man, shout out to Gavin Newsom, man.
Yeah, that would help right now. Gas prices are astronomical. So as we can see, housing, underrepresented in housing markets, high tax, high inflation. We need to get these reparations underway. So let's see what's happening on that front. California Reparations Task Force lineage not raised to determine who gets payments. After a first vote failed, the California Task Force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans decided that lineage will determine who will be eligible for reparations. During the first session of the 2-day meeting, 5 members of the task force voted in favor of lineage over race as the determining factor for compensation. 4 members said no, 90 minutes after the first vote failed. The measure needed a 2/3 majority of the task force votes for ratification. The ayes have it and the motion carries, Task Force Chairperson Camilla Moore said following the vote. So the community of eligibility will be based on lineage determined by individual being African American, the descendant of a person enslaved as chattel, or descendant of a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it was that was quite a victory, a well-deserved victory. So I mean that's just the battle. We're still at war here. Everybody needs to tune in to see what's going on. The next stage is going to be proposals, and as we mentioned, subpoenas. So definitely get involved with what's going on with the California Reparations Task Force, and there's still plenty of time and chances and opportunity for your voice to be heard, to be a part of this process, this historical process.
Absolutely.
And that's in the news.